3. All the needles on the control panel dropped dead.
"What the hell?"
Claudie Sanders said. She turned to Chuck. Her eyes were wide, but there was no panic in them, only bewilderment. There was no time for panic. Chuck never saw the control panel. He saw the Seneca's nose crumple toward him. Then he saw both propellers disintegrate. There was no time to see more. No time for anything. The Seneca exploded over Route 119 and rained fire on the countryside. It also rained body parts. A smoking forearm, Claudette's, landed with a thump beside the neatly divided woodchuck. It was October 21st. Barbie. 1. Barbie started feeling better as soon as he passed Food City and left downtown behind. When he saw the sign reading, "You are leaving the village of Chester's Mill. Come back real soon," he felt better still. He was glad to be on his way, and not just because he had taken a pretty good beating in the mill. It was plain old moving on that had lightened him up. He'd been walking around under his own little gray cloud for at least 2 weeks before getting his shit handed to him in the parking lot of Dippers. "Basically, I'm just a rambling guy," he said, and laughed. "A rambling guy on his way to the big sky. And hell, why not? Montana. Or Wyoming. Fucking Rapid City, South Dakota. Any place but here." He heard an approaching engine, turned around, walking backward now, and stuck out his thumb. What he saw was a lovely combination. A dirty old Ford pick-em-up with a fresh young blonde behind the wheel. Ash blonde, his favorite blonde of all. Barbie offered his most engaging smile. The girl driving the pick-em-up responded with one of her own, and oh my lord, if she was a tick-tock over 19, he'd eat his last paycheck from Sweetbriar Rose. Too young for a gentleman of 30 summers, no doubt, but perfectly street legal, as they'd said back in the days of his corn-fed Iowa youth. The truck slowed. He started toward it, and then it sped up again. She gave him one more brief look as she went past. The smile was still on her face, but it had turned regretful. "I had a brain cramp there for a minute," the smile said, "but now sanity has reasserted itself." And Barbie thought he recognized her a little, although it was impossible to say with certainty. Sunday mornings in Sweetbriar were always a madhouse. But he thought he'd seen her with an older man, probably her dad, both of them with their faces mostly buried in sections of the Sunday Times. If he could have spoken to her as she rolled past, Barbie would have said, "If you trusted me to cook your sausage and eggs, surely you can trust me for a few miles in the shotgun seat." But, of course, he didn't get the chance. So he simply raised his hand in a little no-offense-taken salute. The truck's taillights flickered, as if she were reconsidering. Then they went out, and the truck sped up. During the following days, as things in the mill started going from bad to worse, he would replay this little moment in the warm October sun again and again. It was that second reconsidering flicker of the taillights he thought of, as if she had recognized him, after all. "That's the cook from Sweetbriar Rose, I'm almost sure. Maybe I ought to—" But maybe was a gulf better men than him had fallen into. If she had reconsidered, everything in his life thereafter would have changed, because she must have made it out. He never saw the fresh-faced blonde or the dirty old Ford F-150 again. She must have crossed over the Chester's Mill town line minutes, or even seconds, before the border slammed shut. If he'd been with her, he would have been out, and safe. Unless, of course, he'd think later, when sleep wouldn't come, the stop to pick me up was just long enough to be too long. In that case, I probably still wouldn't be here, and neither would she, because the speed limit out that way on 119 is 50 miles an hour, and at 50 miles an hour, at this point, he would always think of the plane